This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites, like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies, like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug? Ignored a leaky faucet? Pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look like that? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. But there's an easier way. Thumbtack is the app that makes it easier to care for your home. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, search, chat, and book highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Download Thumbtack and start caring for your home the easier way.
Better way, better way. Hey, better way, better way. Better way, better way. Hey, what will you choose today? Hey.
Welcome to our podcast, A Better Way Road. What choice will you make? What road will you take? I'm your very grateful host, Telda. I believe that there's a crisis of crime due in part to a crisis of choice. We come together on a better way road to help in navigating the journey of choice making in a judgment-free lane. We're sharing the stories of people who are finding a better way. Now, we're not experts. Any advice or opinions are solely the pathways of our guests. So buckle up, pack some snacks, and let's begin our trip up a better way road.
And talk it out together about a better way, better way. Better way, better way. Better way, better way. I'm so proud of you, 'cause you choose a better way.
All right, well, we are here today with Mr. Brown. Welcome, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being in here.
I appreciate you, and you are an outstanding example of a person who has chosen a better way road. And so I wanted to kind of just start with some of the hills and valleys and mountains you had to overcome. But before we do that, I want people to know that you have been with Phalen Leadership Academy for a number of years now. So let's kind of start there, and then we'll back up and kind of get your story a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of Phalen.
Yeah, so Phalen Leadership Academy is a nonprofit charter school here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Started back here in 2013 with Jordan and Veronica, Mr. Phalen's parents, right here off 23rd and Meridian. He then branched off to the Far East Side with having K through 6 schools. After finding out that some students were going to other schools and areas, that weren't so great, Mr. Phalen decided to open up a middle school, 7th and 8th grade, called James and Rosemary Phalen Leadership Academy back in 2017.
Okay.
That's where I came in to play with Phalen and helped open up that building. After our second year with kids about to go into high school, we had no high school for them to go to, and the kids loved us, the staff, the other kids, the way we did things in the classroom. They loved the culture of the building. So we came to the charter board and decided to convince them to let us build a high school within our building. And every year we added on 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th. And so right now we're sitting at our 3rd graduating class ever since 2017.
Wow.
So been here for about 8 years. It's been a great journey, being in the educational world for about 12 years in total. I never thought I would be able to open up a building, and seeing all the different challenges, which made me realize that it's not just black and white being with just teachers in the building. I think it's a beautiful thing to see all the operational management, to see all the marketing aspect, and just see everything that it really takes to get a school lifted off the building. Just majoring in education, I just thought it was just assistant principal, administrations, and teachers. But the reality is there's so many different type of backbones that go into making a successful school organization. And I love it. Granted, I came from Pike in North Central, the big township schools in Indianapolis area. It really was different, just to kind of see on a smaller scale. But I love it so much because it's every single year there's different challenges and there's different ways to grow, whether it's academically, whether it's socially, whether it's demographically. We've grown and we've learned. We weren't perfect in 2017, but to this day, our cadence is and our repetition is second to none. And I'm proud to say that I've been a founding member at the JRP campus on the Far East Side.
Wow. And I am proud of you. And I love that word cadence. Cadence just sounds very deliberate and on purpose. So I love the fact that you have accomplished at that level because I had the pleasure of knowing you for some years now. And I remember about high school, maybe between sophomore and junior year, you had a great desire to be a teacher. And I read some of your work, some of your essays, and definitely saw the skill set there. But at that time, you just didn't know how that was going to happen. You didn't know, what steps to take or, if it's even something you should consider. So you went to IU and then also the military to actualize that dream. Tell me a little bit about those formative years.
Yeah, so, high school wasn't the easiest road. That's why it's so easy for me to get along with some of my kids today. But back in high school, it wasn't easy to kind of know where I was going. But joining the Army as well as my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, it constantly gave me around strong leadership skills. Kappa Alpha Psi, our brotherhood, I'm constantly around leaders my own age and as well as members who were initiated way back when. The Army puts you in leadership positions to where you sink or swim. And luckily, I've just kind of been around a lot of people who have a strong opinion. And I've always been a student to the game. I think the best leaders that I've ever followed have always been great followers. So I truly do not believe you can be a great leader without being a great follower first. So with that being said, I was in the classroom. I substituted at IU, and that's how I got introduced to the teaching world, which was great. I taught at Pike for a number of years, but I think I had a bigger calling when it came to leadership. Over there at Guyan Creek Middle School, shout out to the Jaguars at Guyan Creek. That's who put me on.
For sure.
But I think I didn't know the leadership qualities that I had, and I was able to throw events. I was able to plan a lot of things in the classrooms. A lot of teachers were coming to me after my second and third year for my style of how I taught. And it was just all a combination of the Army and Kappa Alpha Psi, and we're always training for leadership, and it's just staying humble. I think I just always thought that and to this day, I don't know everything. So I'm always going to be a student. I think that is one of the greatest characteristics that my parents instilled in me, is that I will never, ever know everything. So constantly be a student to whatever craft that you're doing. And thankfully, I like to do everything. So I just always try to learn everything.
That's excellent because, the saying goes, if you hang around with sharp people, you're going to be sharp. Steel sharpens steel. So you exposed yourself. Your plan early on was to get yourself in the arena with those people.
For sure.
That is excellent. Well, I know that you advanced yourself from teacher, and then you became an administrator as well. You were actually principal for a time.
Yeah, that was a great transition. Like I said, so how it happened was, I went from Guyan and Pike Township, and I just knew at Pike there was my ceiling, which I just knew I had to be there for a certain amount of years to kind of move up in the ranks, and I get it because that's how it is in the military. So I'm all about chain of command and time in service. But at the time, I'm young. I got a lot of energy. And fortunately, Phalen kind of recruited me to be a dean of students that first year. So that was great because I saw, again, another aspect of the teaching world. So I know the educational world. I know teaching isn't the end all be all. And I think being a dean for that year kind of showed me the discipline side of the school system. So during that year, I actually took initiative and through a lot of events, Again, we were brand new, so there was no real structure to the building. So coming from Guyan and Pike and knowing exactly how a school system looks and how it's ran, I kind of took and didn't recreate the wheel and took some of those things and applied it to where I'm at today. So as far as, a prom, a homecoming dance, a Veterans Day, how can our communication with our parents be a lot better? How can our attendance be a lot better? How can our communication with the teachers and parents? How can the administrators and teachers? And there were just so many parts of the school that we just didn't have at that time that fortunately myself and a couple other people were just putting into play on a daily basis. So my principal at the time decided to, make me go back and get my license and become assistant principal for the building. And ever since then, it's just been great. Even with being then, I have learned on the spot on how to communicate, how to become a better leader, how to take accountability, how to be there first and leave there last. I think that is the mantra that that's it. I can't go back from the standard that I guess I put to myself, that people have said they've loved. But I don't know. It's just been great. I think that is taking initiative is not in a lot of people's playbook. And I hate to say it like this, but I kind of don't like having a ceiling. So I try to make my own rules and within the fair guidelines, but I love taking the initiative to do my own thing because then it can just be my own thing and I can pass it off to somebody. So it's just been great. I think it's been a wonderful experience. And again, I'll never forget all the lessons in the PLCs and the PDs that Guyan Creek, and shout out to Miss Bishop, who was not only my principal at Guyan Creek, but she was my 6th grade teacher. She was hard. She was real hard, but I'll never forget some of the things that she always said to me. And it just stuck. Some certain things stick when certain people say it to you. And she's definitely, I always give her flowers when I see her, but she's definitely an important part of my education world. Even when I was a student, when I was a teacher, I still looked at her like I was a student. She was a teacher, but she would always put me in my place, but do it in a respectful manner. And I can always, from a leadership perspective, understand how and why she did that. So I love taking different styles of people and their leadership roles. I think one of the greatest little advice that I got when being a leader, the principal for our high school right now at JRP, Troy Lane, he said something so simple as just respond to people's emails. And I was like, wow, what do you mean? He's like, a lot of people don't like admin or principals just because they think that they're too busy. I take about 30 minutes each day and I just simply respond. Even if I don't have an answer, I just respond just to acknowledge. Wow. And I think that's simple, something that simple goes a long way. So it's just those little things that you just kind of like learn and do and enjoy because you do see a difference in people's reaction when you do these little things. So we're not always perfect, but I think as long as you allow people to see that you're human, we can learn together.
Those little nuggets, those little pearls. And again, the importance of the cheerleaders, that mentor, that someone who just treats you with respect, you are taught respect through them, that takes you another leg down the road. And I love what you said about not liking a ceiling. Well, without a ceiling, then you can see the sky. And, help others to see that sky as well. So, and that leads us to your current position, the very, very creative person that you are. You're on the media end of the spectrum now. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So again, I didn't see this in my future, but I think just doing it for so long, my principal, Nicole Fama, who's been great and supportive, back when we were just opening JRP, I would just simply do a couple movies just to kind of give our parents and our future kids a visual of what we're doing at JRP. Again, we are on the Far East Side, 42nd and Mid-Hoffer, so we are competing against the bigger schools like LC, LN, and Warren, who they don't have to go out and recruit kids, who they don't have to market. So it was harder for us to get our parents to make them understand visually what we're doing. And so kind of doing those things, taking videos, creating videos, our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, kind of compiling all those different things and making sure that it's constantly up to date. had just kind of led me into my position right now, which is our marketing and enrollment coordinator for all of our regional and regional marketing and enrollment coordinator for all of our PLA campuses, which is 6 campuses here in Indianapolis. So what I do is basically I just make all of our current parents and people who are just interested in the building aware of what we do academically, what we do event-wise, how we can show support to our community partners, how we invite our community partners into our buildings all the time. So it just plays a good role into just kind of getting our name out here. Even like today, just making it known that we are not just a charter school who's just going to be here for a couple years. We're here to stay. And not only are we here to stay, but why are we here to stay? What have we done to prove why we're here to stay? Like I said, this is our third graduating class. Each class that we've graduated so far has easily raised over $1 million in scholarships. And again, I know,
amazing.
I know our competing schools, that is, that's like $10. But for our school who just opened up a couple years ago versus these bigger schools and getting into colleges and universities and getting into trades, that is allowing them for all these scholarships, it's a big deal. We also offer at PLA, it's called PLA University. So PLA University is great for not only our kids who graduate, but it's good for any community, person in the community who wants to get back into school for free to get their CDLs, their business certificate, their CNA certificate, cosmetology, barbering, all the different trades that set them up for success after high school. Or if you're a parent of a kid who goes to any of our PLA schools, you can join the PLA University. That allows you to get these certifications within a certain amount of weeks and get a good paying job.
Oh my! So it's an outreach for the entire family.
100%.
That is nearly unheard of.
Yeah,
that is outstanding.
Mr. Phalen, I'm telling you, shout out to Mr. Phalen. He opened it up in May of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I mean, as we all know, it was a wild time, especially for education, especially because it was in the middle of the spring, especially because we were not prepared to go virtual. We weren't set up to have e-learning at that time, so it honestly forced our hand. What were we going to do with our backs against the walls? Again, shout out to all the administrators and teachers and all of the PLA schools, because we all came to each other's houses. We all came to each other's schools to print off a certain amount of packets. But all the while we're waiting for our Chromebooks to get delivered, we made our way to deliver all these packets of work to last the whole semester to our families' homes. And we also partnered up with gleaners to once a week, they would come to our building and parents could come through at all times throughout this a certain day. Let's say it was Monday or Tuesday. From 8 to 4, they can come to our building and pick up a box of canned good foods that would, last them all week. And then we would do this every single week for at least, I think, the first year. So it was wild. And again, the pandemic was unfortunate, but it was fortunate because it made and exposed the workers in education. What are we going to do now? Okay, this is our problem. What are we going to do to solve it? And I think even for me, especially, nobody went to college, get their bachelor's or master's to figure out what to do during the pandemic.
True.
So I think that is the beautiful testimony to what it looks like on our leadership team on the national level, the regional, or the building level. What did we do on a communication to make it happen for these kids on a daily basis? And I think that year alone, it was difficult, but it really was. It'll always be in my best years one of my best years career-wise, because it really showed you who you are and what you can do when your back's against the wall. And everyone's back was against the wall. So shout out to all the staff members at PLA for stepping up in more ways than one. Some people stepped up in the operational level. A lot of people stepped up on the academic level and, the support level. So whatever it is that your lane was that we asked you to do or you were asked to do and you did, it went far and it created to what we're at today. And that is, having over 10,000 kids nationwide enrolled, having over a couple thousand people enrolled into PLA University, setting them up in our community. Again, I think the good thing about PLA was that kind of made me stick with them at this point is because, again, back in high school, I was that kid who had no clue where I was going. I knew I was going somewhere, but I had no clue. I think we take pride in showing all of our kids different options. For example, we're not shoving college down every kid's throat. That's not reality.
Right.
We're not shoving military down everybody's throat. That's not the reality. The reality is that some kids are going to thrive in the trade world, in the workforce. Some kids are going to thrive in college and university, as well as military. So whatever option it is that kind of feeds and it fits that student best, that is where we're going to support the most. And I think, and that may be the case in a lot of other schools. It's just not what I've seen as far as my leadership career has been. And so I think that has been the great thing about our team. Is just we're being helping them on where are they going after high school. Even if it's not education, okay, you want a job, let me see who I know that works in this field and let me hook you up. And so the support is just different. And I think the kids see that and they recognize that. And we get them when they come to 7th grade and we get them all the way. I mean, we've had kids who just graduated this year. We've had them in the PLA world since they were 2nd and 3rd grade at 103 and 93. And they've been with us. It is wild to see them grow.
And I love how the postgraduate, you just don't drop them and, okay, you graduated, see you later. They're still an integral part. The podcast that I watch, they come back and they are still contributing, not only to the school, but to the community. So that's something you just don't see on an everyday basis. So that's the thing that you've mentioned so many common threads to success, and not everyone has those. You had to seek them. You knew that you needed them. What are just a couple of quick things that you might suggest? I'm going to call this a course correction. Maybe you've seen some habits or behaviors of people that are not experiencing success, and with a little bit of a course correction could get back on the right road. What are some things that you've observed and some maybe some nuggets you can leave for some folks for our summer months?
For our summer months, like I said, stay active and stay busy in a positive way. For our kids out there, like I said, we do have programs to stay into them, K through 8, that can keep you engaged academically and enrichment-wise. For our high school students, I highly encourage and recommend you either join a program that gets you onto some type of track, Upper Bound, TeenWorks. These are all programs that allow you to constantly stay busy and stay around kids who are trying to achieve something higher than themselves. Again, no one is always pushing college or whatever, but as long as you're pushing something to say, okay, let me just show you different avenues, that's where we want to constantly push you towards. There is too many jobs out here for young men and women who are between 15 and 18 years old to just be staying at home. Us parents, we have to constantly get our kids out of the house. I understand that it's easier to not drive them across town or not take them here or there, but it is going to benefit our kids in the long run. For example, I honestly wish I joined a program like TeenWorks, which TeenWorks is a program where in the morning time, all students from all parts of Indianapolis, north side, west side, or east side, they all come together and they collectively work as a team. In the morning, they do community service at all the different colleges around the city. They have lunch for free. And they then in the afternoons, they do a professional development every single week that, quite frankly, 90% you will not learn in high school. How to build a resume, how to etiquette on how to shake hands, look people in the eyes, how to greet and sit at a dinner table or at a formal dinner. They do mock interviews. So these are different type of programs that it's helping and setting your son or daughter up for success in more ways than one. I remember taking an etiquette class. I don't know who put me in it. When I was 16 or 17 years old, just sitting at a table and putting the napkin on my lap. And it was just one of them things where I remember they told me that when I was 16, 17 years old. And that still sticks with me, and I'm 35. So certain things you will remember and certain things you won't. But parents have to do, a good job of doing the research themselves and putting our kids first. Because right now in a time where technology is advancing in good ways and in positive ways, it's also setting our kids up for failure when it comes to academics. For example, as fortunate as it was for our Chromebooks and iPads in the homes during the pandemic, it was also hurting us at the same time. While it was kind of making our reading scores decrease or our math scores decrease. We have to go above and beyond and take those time to figure out different ways to teach these kids, especially at home. It's just not enough on the teachers anymore. It has to be at home and starting with the parents as well.
Absolutely. A partnership. It has to be a partnership. And then also you hit on very, very well the company that you keep, the kind of people that you hang out with, what you are exposing yourself to. Bad decisions can be made and you had nothing to do with it. But if you're there at the wrong time, in the wrong place, you may get caught up in that. So, well, Mario, I say you've got the secret sauce. Phalen has the secret sauce, and you've got some things that are working well. You've got a track record of that. Any other parting things or thoughts that you might have for, our hopes for our young folks?
I don't think I appreciate you saying the secret sauce, but the reality is, there's two things that I'll never not do. And that's one, I'll never stop asking questions. If I have a question and I don't know the answer, I will ask. And I don't care who it is I have to ask. I think a lot of people get intimidated by titles. The older I've gotten is, that's the chief officer of this person. That's the general of the army. I don't care. If he's there and he knows how to do this, I'm going to ask.
Good for you.
And I think the second thing is I'm never going to be scared to fail. I think, not to say on cliche about, all of our favorite basketball players, but after failing so many times, you have to succeed at some point. I think I saw a lot of failure in high school, not academically, but in real life. I seen what rock bottom really looks like, and I never want to go back there. I seen failure in college, and now I know what not to do. But I think I'll never stop going back to the drawing board, and I think a lot of people have, and it's sad to see. But the reality is, if you're scared to fail, it's not going to happen. I have thrown many events at PLA where I failed and said I can do this better, but I'm never going to stop bringing a better idea to the table. And I think that's my key to success. But I think it can help a lot of young students out there who are kind of going through some things, mental health wise, academic wise, relationship to their parents or friends. Just ask questions. If you don't think that you're doing something right, ask questions. If you don't think that this person likes you or a social media post, maybe just ask. Yeah. A lot of people are scared of confrontation. Don't be scared.
Wow. That's phenomenal. I was just told recently that it is better to fail than not to try, because then you have that, on your head that you didn't even try.
Sure.
So those are words of wisdom. Stay active over the summer. Get engaged in something that's going to advance you, to advance our community. Hanging out with the right people who are a positive influence on you. If a gentleman told me not too long ago, he just sort of had a gut feeling when something was going to go wrong, and he was not about to spend 300 years in prison with his friends. So
sure.
and also Dee Dee was here from TeenWorks, who hit on just some of the same high notes that you did. So, well, that about wraps it up, Dr. Brown. Yes, I'm going to put that. I manifested that for you, Dr. Brown. So those are some of the key things. Listen. Ask questions, be hyper aware of the kind of things that can be of benefit to you. And parents, great responsibility in getting your children, your young people involved with the right people, the right place, doing the right things. So we're going to close it out for now. I always end with, until we see you again next time, I urge you to merge onto Better Way Road. Please listen to the podcast. Oh, yes, Mario, give me some social. How can they, what are some things that people can, how can they get on your podcast and those kinds of things? What information?
I love that. We welcome all to the Phalen Way podcast. It's called the Phalen Way on YouTube. We welcome all of our alumni students, our current students, our parents, our former parents, anyone who has anything to do with anything on the Far East Side or in the charter world in general. Anyone that has anything that can offer our students that can help them in their future, come on in. We love to just be exposed to everyone. Just come on in. We're engaged to the Far East Side, 42nd and Midhofer. We're trying to set a positive tone out there. We're trying to do something different. So we need the community. We need our partners. We need our families. We need our parents. We need anybody that has to do with any of our kids' future. Please come on into the Phalen podcast.
Wow. Love it. Okay. Well, Mario, thank you for being here. Mr. Brown. Now you know his first name. I was trying to keep it all formal, but you broke me.
That's all good.
Thank you. We'll see you next time on A Better Way Road.